Coming up on the world's most expensive rides. A southern beauty with world-class performance. A private yacht that goes on forever. And an extravagantly oversized SUV from a fashion legend. Sheer excitement, nothing beats a motorcycle. The more power and style, the better. The Confederate Wraith wins on both counts. Boisterous design, unprecedented performance, and a rebellious spirit make this stripped-down, two-wheeled work of art stand out in any crowd. But it's also the fastest bike in its class. The shapely Wraith reaches a top speed of 185 miles per hour, laying waste to a quarter mile in just 10.75 seconds. At 390 pounds, it packs a 120 cubic inch V-twin, turning out 125 horsepower.
There's nothing from 0 to 100 that can keep up with this bike.
In 2008, the Wraith traveled to the legendary Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah, where some of the world's fastest vehicles come to test their extraordinary speed. This unlikely-looking bike shattered the world record for a bike in its class by an astounding 25 miles per hour, recording an official speed of 166.5 miles per hour.
The Confederate Wraith is an interesting mix of old and new. It's very fresh in its design, but it's also very classical and has some classical elements. This bike almost looks like a movie bike.
The Confederate Wraith is a sort of no-holds-barred sculpture on wheels. It's industrial design at its best.
The Wraith looks wild, but isn't wacky just for the sake of it. The styling and choice of materials all serve a purpose: to create a super bike that's super light, fast, and maneuverable. Wraith is another word for ghost, and this futuristic beauty rides so low it's almost invisible. The saddle sits just 30 inches off the ground, and the weight's even lower thanks to the unusual location of the fuel tank underneath the engine.
The weight being centered so low makes the bike feel like a little 250cc machine, and yet it's got over 2,000 cc's. And it just makes it infinitely flexible and easy to use.
The Wraith owes its tight handling to a revolutionary chassis design called monocoque, from the French words for single and shell. It's also known as a structural skin, and it means that instead of an internal chassis, the bike's strength comes from a rigid exterior shell.
This is the first monocoque chassis utilized on a motorcycle, and it's extraordinary for its lightweight and its extreme rigidity. Chassis integrity is amazing.
Carbon fiber gives the structure high strength and low weight. On this ferocious featherweight, even the wheels are made of the stuff. Elsewhere, aircraft-grade aluminum and titanium shock absorbers shave more valuable pounds.
Riding a lightweight motorcycle is definitely an advantage if you're going to be taking the corners. Of course, you have less weight to move from side to side.
But lightweight means nothing without the hardware to back it up. The Wraith tears up the track with a better torque-to-weight ratio than a Porsche 911, which produces an almost overwhelming surge of acceleration.
130 foot-pounds is a serious amount of torque. That's what you want at the twist of a wrist. You want to be able to hit that throttle and the torque to cut in.
This amount of torque with a weight that's under 400 pounds creates a riding experience that you really have to feel to believe.
Although the Wraith looks like something from a futuristic science fiction movie, with those aerodynamic forks and alien-like spine, the ghosts of yesterday's bikes linger.
The mirrors were derived from my first Norton when I was a kid. I loved that drop-down kind of racer look. It just straight out of the 1960s.
And Confederate's approach to building motorcycles harks back to the old days, too. It takes 1,000 man-hours to complete each handcrafted bike.
This bike is very, very time-consuming to create, to get it right, to get it perfect. It's a labor of love. It truly is. It has to be done perfectly.
If you're one of the lucky few to own a Wraith, polish up your conversation skills, because people will want to talk about it wherever you go.
Wow, what a machine.
When people see the Wraith, their first reaction is that it looks American, but it looks like it comes from a period that we haven't yet gotten to.
Even celebrities are seduced by this superstar of a motorcycle. Bike crazy Jay Leno just had to take a closer look after spotting a super rare Wraith near his home. The Wraith is a limited release machine. Just 250 will ever be made, and Matt Chambers hopes that each one will leave a lasting legacy.
I'm certain that when we stop, when the last one is built, that these motorcycles will be remembered. I do believe that there's history being made with the Wraith.
Futuristic, classic, and impossibly fast, the Confederate Wraith is one superbike that looks as radical as it rides.